Hello, my name is Matt Closer, and I'm the director of the Center for STEM Education, and I'm excited to be with you today through this webinar to talk about the Trustey Family STEM Teaching Fellows. We'll provide a short overview of the program, the Summer Institute, and the aspects that occur throughout the school year, and talk about ways in which you as the principal can support their work over the course of the next 2.5 years. Here's a picture of our first cohort, which was just a pleasure to host on campus in the summer of 2015. And we look forward to having your teachers on campus with us this coming summer, where they will interact with cohort 1 and also interact amongst themselves to help students engage more effectively in STEM opportunities in your school. And as you can see, we've got a great group of people who are excited and proud to be Trustey Fellows. And a critical key is the team element, so that we have a cohort, but also that teachers come as school teams to create a critical mass that when they go back to their schools, they can become teacher leaders in STEM education. So our goals for the program, we have kind of short-term goals and long-term goals. In the short term, we really focus on the teacher as the mediating variable. We know that teachers can have such an important and powerful impact on student outcomes, and they have a far reach, given that they might teach, up to 70 or 80 students each day. So our focus is on helping them improve their instructional practice, their belief that they can be effective in the classroom, help improve their leadership opportunities, as well as their understanding of what STEM integration is and how STEM should and can be made accessible to students from all different backgrounds. Ultimately, we hope that these short-term goals then lead to longer-term goals focused on the students, that we have the ability to increase their interest in STEM, that they are better able to identify with STEM disciplines, and that they learn a great deal about the natural and technological world around them. And in doing so, that we create access for all students to help define their own futures and paths that they want to engage in, whether it's as a STEM professional or just in their daily lives. So this graphic shows an overview of the whole program. That's kind of a 2.5-year cycle. So every summer, for 3 summers, the fellows will come to campus for a summer institute. And in the first 2 summers, it focuses on 3 specific modules that we'll talk about in a little more depth in a moment. We focus on the first module is STEM integration. So how do these different STEM and disciplines fit together? Secondly, we talk about core instructional practices. So how do we engage students actively in our classroom that makes an impact on both their learning and their interest in the subject. And then Module 3 is focused on developing a school-wide STEM impact plan. So that's the focus of the summer. And then during the fall and spring semesters, there's alternating monthly engagements, either calls about their STEM impact plan, or the fellows videotape their practice and receive instructional coaching. Then we bring all the fellows back together again in Palo Alto, California in January as a time to kind of renew and refresh, but also to learn about a lot of the different ways in which STEM is being enacted in the Bay Area and how that might translate to their own classroom. And so fellows repeat this cycle for 2 full years, and then for a 3rd summer, they spend a week on campus, kind of tying all of the pieces together. At the center of all we do is focused on student outcomes, although our work is really with the teachers themselves. So we've, not only with the kind of professional development, we've surrounded this project with research and evaluation components. So from an evaluation perspective, we're collecting a lot of data about what is the impact of the program and where can we improve. And in terms of research, we have a lot of different questions, some focusing on teacher practices, STEM integration, and teacher leadership, but always kind of with in mind that it's the student outcomes that we ultimately want to address.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Gottlieb. I'm also on staff here at the center. And I'm going to talk to you more specifically about what our Summer Institute consists of, since that is one of the key aspects of our program. So as Matt talked about, the Summer Institute consists of 3 modules. So we'll walk through each module separately, talk about the goals of that module and what your teachers can expect over the summer. So our first module is STEM integration. So the goal here is really to help teachers to continue to develop their fluency and also their practices around planning, designing, and implementing STEM integration experiences in their own classrooms. So before I go too much further, I want to clarify what we mean when we talk about STEM, since there are so many definitions out there. So in our program, when we talk about STEM as S period, T period, E period, M period, we're talking about the disciplines of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics separately. When we talk about STEM as a word, what we're talking about there is the integration of the disciplines to solve challenges in the real world. So how can we bring 2 or more of these disciplines together to tackle a real problem in the natural, material, or built world? So those will be the definitions that we work with throughout our program. So the STEM integration module allows your teachers to experience what a STEM integration lesson looks like as a learner. So they're put in the shoes of students. They're given an unfamiliar task that integrates 2 or more of the STEM disciplines that requires them to really apply math, science, engineering, technology to solve a problem that occurs in the real world. So you can see here some pictures from our first Summer Institute of the cohort 1 doing just that. They are hard at work solving the task that we gave them. So without giving too much detail, so as not to spoil that for cohort 2, this is a really exciting experience that allows the teachers to really understand what it feels like for a student to have a well-planned and well-designed integrated STEM lesson. After we give the teachers a chance to think about this as learners, we step back and we encourage them to put their teacher hat on and unpack what this would look like in their classroom. What kinds of activities and questions and resources would they need to create a lesson like this for their students? So Module 2 focuses on core instructional practices. So the goal of this module is to really bring student ideas to the center of STEM learning and teaching. We also want to improve the productive talk, assessment practice, and the disciplinary aspects that happen in science and math classes. So what are core instructional practices? So we believe that we could have created a really great lesson or a really great activity to send back with your students or your teachers, and they could have done that for one day in their classroom, and that would have been great, but they would have had another whole school year that we wouldn't have been able to impact. So rather than do that, we decided to focus on core instructional practices, and these are the high value and high leverage teaching practices in science and math that really can be applied in multiple situations and in multiple contexts to really change what teaching and learning looks like in the classroom. So what we do here is we really focus on a student-centered classroom. So we encourage students to talk more in the class around science and math, and we did that over the first summer by really helping the teachers to focus on eliciting student thinking and facilitating discussion. So that's also what we'll be doing this summer with your teachers. This module looks, it follows the pattern of representation, decomposition, and approximation. So essentially we model what a core instructional practice looks like. We work with the teachers to unpack that practice. What do they actually see the teacher doing? What are the different moves they see the teacher making? And then they actually get to rehearse that. So before they go back to their classroom, they get a chance to practice these practices so that they're prepared to implement them in their classroom. The third module is the STEM Impact Plan. So the first 2 modules really focus on what's happening inside the classroom around integrating STEM and core instructional practices. The STEM Impact Plan module focuses on what's going on outside of the classroom in the rest of the school. So the goal here is for your teachers to implement a sustainable program that is STEM focused and designed to expand access to excellent STEM learning opportunities and to empower your teachers to assume formal or informal leadership roles in their school communities. So when we say a STEM-focused program, we're intentionally leaving that open because this really depends on the needs of your school. Some things we've seen are robotics clubs that really are designed to engage female students in STEM, family nights to bring the community and student families into the school and get them excited about STEM, not only within the classroom, but across the community, and a wide variety of different STEM-focused programs. So we work with the teachers to really pinpoint a specific problem in your context and then develop a plan to address that. So this is the trajectory for the STEM Impact Plan. So in the first summer, this first summer that's coming up, your teachers will really work on kind of brainstorming the problem that they're trying to address and what kind of program would need to be developed over the course of the fellowship to really address that problem well. During the first academic year, they pilot it, so they try out their idea, they collect some formative data so they have a sense of, is it working, is it not working? And then they're going to bring that back to us summer 2, where we can really work with them to adjust course, see what needs to be strengthened, what do we need to change. And then in school year 2, they'll do a full implementation of whatever their program is. They'll continue to collect some data so they know if it's working. And in summer 3, we'll work with the teachers to take all of this data and their plan and develop a grant proposal to get some sustainable funding around this. We also provide them with $1,000 of seed funding to help get this program off the ground.
So Jessica talked about all of the intense activities that occur in the summer, but we also want to have supports ready and available for our fellows throughout the school year. And we do that in 2 main ways. One is through bi-monthly calls focused on their STEM Impact Plan, and the other is through video coaching. So the bi-monthly calls start at the beginning of the year as fellows go back and try to implement some of the main components of their STEM Impact Plan. Since we can't be with them in their schools, we want to try and provide ideas, brainstorming, and resources to make sure that whether they're in Washington, Texas, New Jersey, or Wisconsin, as these groups of fellows are, that they have the ability to execute what they created over the summer. In the opposite months, fellows collect video of their teaching practice. They submit it to this program called Torch Talent, and as you can see, it shows the video and captures some of the teaching practice, and you can see at the bottom some of these different little colored bubbles. And these are annotations that the teachers can post reflecting on their own practice. They then submit this to an instructional coach that they met with over the course of the summer, who provides further feedback about their teaching and gives them suggestions about how they can even better incorporate some of the core instructional practices. And finally, as mentioned in the kind of program overview, we have the RISE Summit, which stands for Realizing Innovation in STEM Education. And this takes place in Palo Alto, in the Bay Area, kind of the heart of some of the STEM innovations in technology and engineering. And we bring the fellows out for an opportunity to come together, to share ideas, to experience many of the learning opportunities that occur in STEM education, both formally and informally. And it's a great opportunity for the fellows to recharge and revisit their commitment to the program.
Okay, so as Matt mentioned in the beginning, there are some evaluation and research activities that go along with this fellowship. So I want to introduce those to you so that you have an idea of what to expect over the course of the school year. So we have both research and evaluation goals. On the research side, we really want to take this opportunity to contribute to our fields and to better understand how teacher professional development can be used to improve STEM teaching and STEM learning. So for example, one of the questions we're asking is, how do teachers' conceptions of core instructional practices change over the course of a fellowship program like this? We also have evaluation activities. So we really want to always improve our program, and we want to understand how we're impacting teachers and students. So with both of those goals in mind, there are several data collection activities during the course of the school year that will ask you, your teachers, or your students to participate in. So every fall, the fellows will be submitting their instructional videos, as Matt just talked about, and then your students will be taking an NWEA math or science assessment that we will pay for and that your teachers will just need to administer, as well as a survey around their interest and identity in STEM. Each one of the student activities should take no more than 45 minutes, so our hope is that it can be done either in a single block class period or over the course of 2 days. In the spring, the fellows will continue to submit their instructional videos, and they'll also take a short program evaluation survey that will comment on the spring, the activities over the course of the school year, as well as the RISE Summit. Students will take another NWEA math or science assessment, as well as another survey. Most of our research activities use a pre-post design over the course of the school year, so we'll be looking how the students grew in math or science and how their interest and identity in STEM changed. We'll also ask you, the principals, to take a short survey that we'll email to you into the spring to get your perspective on this fellowship. Finally, over the summer, we'll ask the fellows to complete a short phone interview and complete an online survey that will ask them questions about their experience with the fellowship, as well as other aspects of our program. So these activities are annual. So over the course of the fellowship, your teachers will go through this cycle a total of 3 times, two school years and then the 3 summer activities. We're trying to limit this as much as possible so that we don't take away from instructional time, but I do want to emphasize that the data we get from these activities is extremely helpful to us and helps us to really understand how our program can improve and also what kind of impact we're having on student learning. So there are some ways for you guys to support the teachers through this fellowship. And first of all, just thank you for taking the time to be on this webinar. This is definitely just a great way to get more information and to be a support. Some ways we encourage you to really support your teachers and help to maximize the impact of this fellowship is to really create time for teacher collaboration, especially for work on the STEM impact plan. It's essential that our teachers have time to work together to design and implement their program. Also, we ask that you champion your fellows in their work. They're doing amazing things, and they will continue to do amazing things over their fellowship. And we just encourage you to be their biggest supporter and biggest cheerleader and to share the incredible things they're doing. We have a newsletter. We'd love to hear from you about what your fellows are doing. So please send in stuff. We'd love to know. We also ask that you support the seed money use. So they will be getting seed money for their STEM impact plans. And we ask that you just support the teachers in having access to that funds and being able to quickly expedite using that money. We also ask that you coordinate substitutes for the RISE Summit. This was in the MOU that you signed when your teachers were accepted, but we do ask that you provide substitutes for the 2 days your teachers will be out of the classroom. And finally, just to continue to communicate those successes. As I said, we have the newsletter, we're on Twitter. We'd love to hear the amazing things your teachers and students are doing.
So before we leave, we want to introduce you to some friendly faces who are part of our Trustey core team. You met Jessica and I, but there are several other members here who are part of the core team and several other instructional coaches who aren't even pictured here. And we're always willing and ready to support your fellows. And if you have questions about the program, we would love to talk with you as well. So if you do have questions, you could reach us in multiple ways. The easiest way is by email, by emailing trustey@nd.edu. You can follow some of the great things that are happening with your fellows or with other fellows at STEM@ND on Twitter, or visit our website and find out more information about the program and some of the other things happening at the Notre Dame Center for STEM Education. Thank you again for your time, and we look forward to working with you and with your fellows in the coming years.